A few months ago, I matched into my #1 internal medicine program. Now, it's currently the application season for the rising fourth-year medical student. I've also seen many people with great stats struggle to match, meanwhile others with average scores match extremely well. In this video, I'm going to break down what actually matters when it comes to applying to internal medicine residency. Let's get right into this, but first, if you're new, definitely consider subscribing. Let's start with the obvious, board scores. For internal medicine, your Step 2 CK scores are probably your most important objective metric, especially now that Step 1 is pass-fail. If you're a US DO student, then I hate to break it to you, your COMLEX Level 2 also matter. But you don't need crazy high Step and COMLEX Level 2 scores to match into internal medicine. But your score does influence how many interviews you get and your program tier list. This is bearing in mind that everything in the rest of the application for the student with the higher Step score is perfect. So this would be your perfect personal statement, a strongly constructed CV, and how well you prepared for interviews. Stronger board scores indicate to the programs that you can handle medical knowledge pretty well while you're working intensive hours. And it also tells them that you can pass your board exams pretty effectively, which is something they care about a lot. If you have an average board scores or even below average board scores, that's completely fine. The rest of your application has to be stronger. And you have to do well on your clerkships and away rotations. And I'll get into that in the next section. Like I mentioned before, doing well on your clerkships and your away rotations matters a lot to the residency programs that you're applying to. Since the vast majority of people look practically the same on paper, programs care more about things like work ethic, how you function on a team, and whether residents actually want to work with you. That's why if you're a US MD or a DO student, honoring your IM clerkships and getting really good evaluations and comments really matters for the programs that you're applying to. Nevertheless, you should probably consider doing away rotations to the programs that you're interested in applying to and that you feel are a great fit for you. During any kind of rotation, if the attending thinks that you're reliable, productive, and easy to work with, that carries a lot of weight when they're considering the final round of selecting the candidates that they think are a great fit for their program. Internal medicine is a team-based specialty, so bringing someone along that is trustworthy and has the same values that they do is just as important as being smart. Now comes the part where I talk about how the letters of recommendation play a significant role in your application. Strong IM letters that I've seen as very helpful for your application are those written by internists in an academic program or by specialty physicians who work closely with you. But a letter that conveys that this is someone that I would want as my resident is considered to be strong. Any generic letter doesn't really suffice. It's currently the middle of June. By now, you've probably asked some physicians that you've worked with to write you a strong letter of recommendation. Aim to get a total of 3 letters of recommendation. 2 of those letters should be from IM physicians, one being a department head from your school, and the other being someone that you worked with, like a specialty physician, such as cardiologist or nephrologist. The last letter can be from a non-IM physician who can talk more about your character, any personality traits, any attributes that they've noticed during your rotations. And this can be a letter from like a family medicine physician or a dermatologist or even a pediatrician. Now let's talk about research, which is a subsection of your extracurricular activities. For internal medicine, research is pretty helpful. Chances are you've probably done research in a super niche field like GI pathology, outcomes research in cardiology, whatever the case may be. Having specialized research is a good way for an attending to bring it up in an interview because they think that your contributions can resonate well with what they're working on or what research activities are going on in their program. If you want to have the most efficient way to do research, where you can churn out manuscripts, submit abstracts and presentations, both oral and poster presentations, stick with clinical research because you can make the most out of whatever opportunities are there in the least amount of time, which your time is already limited anyway. Watch Dr. Jubbal's video right here. He sums it up pretty effectively. The link is down in the description below. I would say, unless you're aiming for a top-tier academic residency, the sheer number of research doesn't really matter too much. There are plenty of community-based residency programs that don't focus on research as a key criterion. As long as you show consistency and some kind of genuine interest in whichever fields of internal medicine. But that's what programs actually care about. Programs want to see that you're engaged and productive in terms of research and not just checking boxes off. Next is your personal statement, which is where you start to formulate your entire story and your journey throughout medical school and why you're applying to the specialty, in this case, internal medicine. I personally spent about a good 12 to 13 good drafts on my personal statement. You have to answer why, not just why medicine, but why specifically internal medicine and what kind of physician you want to become. Now, a lot of medical students start off with a life story, anecdote, and that's fine and all, but that should probably take up only one portion of the introduction. This is known as the hook. Your life story should not be the bulk of the personal statement. The strongest applicants have a coherent narrative of what they did in medical school and how that achieved a certain type of feeling for the specialty and why that's led them to become where they're applying to. Everything in the application points in the same direction. What extracurricular activities you did to substantiate your personal statement, how research played a role in that process and what the research is saying about you in the personal statement and how that relates to the CV activities that you have. I can make a separate video on how to write an effective personal statement for residency applications. If you'd like me to edit some of your work too, you can message me via email. I'd be happy to do that. All right, finally, interviews. This is where everything comes together. At this point, programs are simply evaluating, 1, do we like this person? And 2, do we work with this person for the next 3 years? Internal medicine is usually 3 years, but if you're considering a subspecialty or specializing by doing a fellowship, you might be working at the same program, so it could be more than 3 years. Either way, you don't need to be perfect. All you have to show is sincerity, humility, and a good bit of self-awareness as to who you are as a future resident. In some interviews, you'll have the opportunity to do multiple mini interviews or MMIs, in which the program faculty is going to be evaluating how you respond to certain situations. And those situations basically that will assess your integrity as a doctor, how you respond to ethical scenarios, and whether you can show compassion to not just your patients, but your other fellow residents in the face of stress. If you can have a normal conversation, reflect on your experiences, and show that you're a team player, you're in a good position. I'll definitely make a separate video on how to prepare for your residency interviews. Matching into internal medicine isn't just about having high scores or even checking off any of the other boxes. It's about building a complete application. A solid Step 2 score or COMLEX score, strong clinical performance, meaningful letters of recommendation, and demonstrating a clear story with a well-written personal statement and a well-articulated interview. Focus on doing well on these things early so that you're going to be able to put yourself in a strong position later. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for your support. If you like the content, leave a like. If you want me to make any more breakdown videos, drop a comment below. I always like keeping it real with you guys. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.